Good, that's everyone.
Yeah.
Jim goes over.
Hey, Melissa and Chris, can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Great. We can hear you.
Do we have a quorum in the room? I see Harper on Zoom.
Yep, we have Jim, Harper on the line, and then we have Maria, Mike, and Alex in the room. So we have 5.
Okay. I guess we can go ahead and get this thing rolling. So it is now 4:59 p.m. and I call to order the September 10th, 2024 meeting of the Town of Silverton Historic Review Committee. Can we please have a roll call?
Chairperson Jesse Rock. Vice Chair Melissa Childs.
Here.
Carl Schnickner. Maria Samora.
Present.
Charles Alex Lannis.
He just ran to the bathroom.
Oh, he did.
Nice.
All right, someone coming? Is someone coming?
I got a fraud alert on my credit card, so.
Ooh, thanks.
Mike Garriott
Yo.
from Harper.
Okay. So all members should have this agenda before them. Do we have any requested amendments to the agenda or the order of the items?
Staff does not.
Okay. So we will now move into item public hearing 24-13 OVR 1104 Blair Street, a request for exterior building alterations on an existing residential structure within the Architectural Review Overlay District, AROD, and Historic Overlay District. Applicants are Spindrift House LLC, Jesse Rowe, and Zach Harris. The public hearing is now open and will take the form of a staff presentation and an applicant presentation, followed by opportunity for public comment. The committee will then proceed with discussion and a decision for the applicant. The applicant may be asked questions by the committee and will have a chance for a final rebuttal prior to any decision. Committee members may also ask questions of staff during the deliberation. For committee members, if there is a conflict or perceived conflict, this is the time to leave the room. Do we have any conflicts for the property at 1104 Blair Street? Okay, hearing none. Staff, can you please proceed with the applicant presentation?
Yes, we'll have Chris Masser doing the presentation online.
Hey Val, can we make that really big? You're welcome to, you need to see it.
To look at.
To look at it,
Yeah,
or bring a
thank you.
chair over.
Are you guys able to see my screen? Perfect.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. This application for you all tonight is for exterior building alterations on an existing structure located at 1104 Blair Street. The project is generally located north of 11th Street between Blair Street and Mineral Street. As stated, the applicants are Jesse Rowe and Zach Harris. The property is located within the Business Pedestrian Zoning District and within the AROD and Historic Overlay District. All required materials and fees have been submitted on August 1st, and this meeting has been properly noticed. Only one public comment has been received after the application material was sent to the Historic Review Committee, and it is from Melody Skinner, which is in support of the application. And the comment states, Jesse and Zach Harris have done a remarkable job with their extensive remodel on their building. The remodel has changed a horrible looking building into a remarkable addition to Blair Street. Their building has been an approved historic review application. I'm in support of the design that Jesse and Zach are proposing to the Historic Review Committee, as I believe it will look nice when it is complete. Jesse and Zach have added a beautiful and very useful building to our community. The request is for exterior alterations on an existing structure within the A-Rod and Historic Overlay District. It is located on a 5,000 square foot lot and currently contains a two-story multifamily residential structure. This application is for modifications to a previously approved plan to include the use of corrugated metal siding instead of the prior approved T111 siding, and the modification to the size and location of some windows. No other changes are currently proposed to this application. This application is before you all tonight because section 16.4.740 and section 16.4.800 of the Silverton Municipal Code states the standards and review procedures in this division shall apply to any facade or exterior building alterations on existing structures viewable to the public. Approval was previously granted for the exterior alterations to this structure. However, the current Silverton Municipal Code does not allow staff to approve modifications to prior approved plans, and thus the changes must be reviewed by the Historic Review Committee and the Board of Trustees to ensure compliance with the Silverton Municipal Code. Additionally, section 16.4.800 of the Silverton Municipal Code states that the committee may add site-specific conditions of approval with the intent of retaining the town's historic landmark designation. The proposal does include replacing the prior approved T111 siding with corrugated metal siding. To ensure the proposed corrugated metal siding won't negatively impact the surrounding properties, staff recommends the HRC add a site-specific condition requiring the corrugated metal siding be non-reflective. Staff finds the applicant has submitted all required materials, and those materials comply with the conditions of section 16.4.5 and section 16.4.6 of the SMC. Staff therefore recommends approval of the A-Rod and Historic Overlay District application for exterior alterations on existing structure located at 1104 Blair Street, as presented with the condition that the proposed corrugated metal siding be non-reflective. However, this is a decision for the HRC to make, and the committee may choose to recommend approval with conditions, continue or deny the application based upon the testimony and evidence it hears. This slide includes sample motions, which are also included in tonight's packet. And that is the end of this presentation. I'll turn it back over to you, Melissa, and allow the applicant to address the committee.
Thank you, Chris, for the staff presentation. Is the applicant in the room?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, please state your name and make your presentation.
Hi there. My name is Zach Harris. I live at 1104 Blair Street. Thank you for taking the time today to hear our application regarding our property at 1104 Blair Street. As noted in the packet, we have an approved application for our remodeling project, and tonight's meeting is regarding some changes to that already approved application. Because there is not a revision process for applications, we're here today before you again. There are two changes before you. The first change we request is minor updates to the size and location of some windows and doors. The provided elevations reflect the new sizes and locations of the doors and windows. Basically, as we finished building the space, we realized that some slightly different widths and heights and locations for the doors and windows would be better for the interior floor plan, and in some cases, reduce window prices. These changes are very slight as viewed from the Heritage Tourism Corridor, so I'll move on to the second requested change. The second change is regarding the exterior siding material of the house. This is probably the more substantive change in front of you today. When we purchased this 1978 home, much of it was clad in T111 siding, which I know many of members of the community dislike for its appearance. It is an inexpensive material that we initially elected to continue on most of the building to match the existing siding and reduce project cost. However, since that time, we have realized that it would look much nicer to do something different. Additionally, we are hearing from our insurance company that metal is the best material for the insurability of the building long-term with the forest fire considerations that exist in neighboring areas. Metal is a durable material that works well in Silverton through snow, rain, hail, and sun for many reasons, and while it is more expensive than T111, it seems like the best way for us to go. From the aesthetic and downtown character perspective, there are many examples of corrugated metal used successfully to maintain a nice look around our building within the historic overlay district, including the building next door to us and multiple buildings across the street from us. We believe that using corrugated metal also fits well with the look and character of the overlay district. Finally, I noted from the packet that town staff suggested conditional approval for our application with the condition that the metal is not reflective in nature. While the engineer in me has to note that all metal is somewhat reflective in nature, and it's generally my understanding that the committee does not adjudicate on colors, we are nonetheless happy to ensure that we do not place shiny silver corrugated metal on the exterior of our building. Again, we do not plan to use shiny silver metal. Again, okay, so thank you again for your time and consideration. I understand that in this public hearing process, I should dip back down until the end of the deliberation period, but I'm happy to answer any questions during that period if it's helpful.
Thank you, Zach. So we'll move on to the public comment for the hearing. So if anyone from the public wishes to make comment regarding the application we have just heard, now is the time to do so. Please state your name prior to your comment and you will have up to 3 minutes to speak. We will start with any in-person comments and then move to comments on Zoom. Please note that the YouTube version of the meeting does not support interaction with commentary. If you are online wishing to comment, please join the Zoom link and raise your hand. Is there anybody in the room that would like to make comment?
We have no one in the room.
Okay, is there anybody on Zoom that would like to make a comment?
Does not look like we have anyone on Zoom.
Does not look like that. Okay, so we will now close the public comment portion of this hearing and allow the committee to discuss the application in question. Committee members may also ask questions directly to the applicant or directly to the staff. Well, I guess I'll start since I have the mic. I think that the corrugated metal is a big upgrade from the T111 or whatever. Is that what it's called? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it definitely fits better with the other historic buildings that are around there because clearly they didn't have T111, 100 years ago. So I think it's a superior product. I think it's going to look better with the surrounding historic structures. And I agree, it should not be the shiny silver or the galvanized. I guess I have a couple of questions. Zach, is this like a powder coated product like the Bent Elbow has next door? Or is this more of a just like flat steel?
I don't know that we've picked an exact product.
Okay, just curious. I mean, the powder coated products are fine, I guess. I think it looks a little like faux, whatever, like the Bent Elbow. It's fine, but it does look like, I mean, it's fake rusted metal. But I mean, I think that would be fine. I think it's a fine product. I was just curious. And I have a question of the staff, just out of curiosity as well. What is the cost of this land use permit application?
So the application is $500, but they have submitted a request for a fee waiver, which will be reviewed by the Board of Trustees.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, that seems like it would be fair to waive the fee considering there's no revision process. So, okay, those are my comments. Anybody else?
I have a question. I would like to know the color of your corrugated metal.
I don't believe we have picked a color yet.
Well, for example, if we approve it and you pick a color we don't approve of, I'm personally against black. If you do the same color as the Bent Elbow, the El Bendito, that's totally fine by me. But if you choose black or shiny, you guys said you're not using shiny tin colored silver. But if you use black, I'm going to vote against it. And I think you guys should have picked color before you showed up here.
I wasn't aware that this committee could adjudicate on colors.
I think it's a huge issue because black is contemporary, in my opinion. Corrugated, rusted, like the bent elbow, is acceptable, in my opinion, once again. I don't think black is acceptable.
Can I ask a question of staff? It's my understanding that colors are outside of the purview of this committee. Can you speak to that?
Yes, colors are typically outside of the purview of the committee. However, you can review it based upon the historic character of the structure. So that could be one of the considerations you guys review and how it fits in with the surrounding properties and the historic overlay districts.
It says right in our packet that the builder's handbook is to ensure that buildings in the historic area of town maintain the historic character of Silverton and the historic tourism corridor. So having a black building, that would be the only one on that in the district that I know of, a solid black building with the black roof.
Let's ask Zach. Do you plan to have black metal on your building
I did
aside
ask
from the roof? Because if you,
I don't know that we've made a decision.
huh?
I don't believe we've made a decision.
Okay, generally speaking, like the bent elbow, so it's a very, I like that look.
So do I.
Yeah, I like that look. Even if it's a false rust color, it fits in very well with the neighborhood and with the history of Silverton. So if you were to just basically order some pre-rusted or rusted look metal from the manufacturer, you're gonna get basically the bent elbow look, if you like that look. I understand what Maria's saying, and so, we probably don't want pink buildings with
I
purple
don't
polka
see any
dots.
pink buildings in metal. I haven't seen any, but I've seen black and there's a couple in town, but they're not in the historic district.
Yeah. But I basically, if you order something, the first choice you're going to get is that rusted look, whether it's a real rust or a faux rust, you're gonna get that bent elbow look, if that's what, you want. So I would immediately approve that look.
And as I said.
And
I would
Maria
approve
would.
that.
Yeah.
But if it 2 or 3 months from now, if you guys show up with black, I'm not approving that. I'm not voting in approval of that.
Well, I guess I have a question in regards to that. I don't think us, and correct me if I'm wrong, staff, do we as a board have the power to that stipulation? It can't be
I
black.
don't think we do, we've just said that. What I'm saying is, it says in the builder's handbook that things have to fit in, they have to match the rest of the district. So if you got a shiny black building, there's no other ones like that.
Sure, but again, I don't think we can
Well,
direct.
then the town board needs to address it, or the planning commission. Somebody needs to address it. We always pass the hat in this town. It's not our job, it's their job. It's like going to Home Depot where it's not their aisle or whatever, and they send you to somebody else. We need to figure it out. I think it's a huge factor if we have this gigantic black building on the corner of Blair and 11th.
Yeah, I get this straight, Zach, you have not made a decision yet on the basic color of the sides of the building. The roof is done, so the roof is the roof. I'm talking, so have you, and Jess, I know it's more of a personal question, but we're trying to get to the bottom of this and see, have you considered any colors at all or any type of,
Again, we have not made a decision on the color. I guess I'm curious why in this particular case, I watched every meeting and I don't believe I've heard color adjudicated to this extent. And so my understanding was that this meeting was going to focus specifically on the two things proposed, not necessarily the color.
oh,
Well, as I have said, in my opinion, it's a huge factor. So I would like to know the color. And if it's not the purview of this committee, which I get told that almost at every meeting, we need to figure out whose purview it is so they can address it. There are no other black tin buildings on Blair Street.
I would comment that it sounds like we could decide that we didn't want black, that that's within the purview based on, fitting in with the surrounding buildings and the historic character. So I would say that, I mean, like, Maria, if you wanted to make a motion that you didn't want the building black, then we could see if it went around and if it passed. So I think that is possible.
I think Mr. Harper had his hand up.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Blair Street is a historic district. It is infamous Blair Street. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, this property falls right smack dab in the middle of historic Blair Street. The town, when they were constructing an EC Park and the adjacent office space and bathrooms, was very cognizant of the fact that it was in the historic district, and we had to shift our design and the color scheme to fit in to historic Blair, the district there, to the historic Blair district. Therefore, in my estimation, precedent has been set. And obviously, in the code, it says that the building has to blend with the neighboring properties. And if what we're talking about is correct, that black on black on black, that does not fit in with the neighboring properties and therefore does not fit in the historic district. That's how I interpret it.
It almost, sorry. It almost seems like there's a lot of words in all of this application, both from the staff and from Zach and so forth, that, we try to preserve a certain look on Blair Street. And for me, that almost covers it. So, I mean, even though they're not mentioning things in exact detail about what colors are, but from what I've seen, and I'm the direct across the street neighbors, so they don't appear to me to have done anything that's going to shock the neighborhood or shock the historic value of Blair Street. I don't think they're that type of people. And from what I've seen and talked to them about it as being their direct neighbor across the street. So I think they're going to do something that does fit in. So even without mentioning exact colors, so I think they respect the history of Blair Street, very important to me and to all of us. That's why we're sitting here tonight, to respect that. I don't think they're going to do anything what I'd consider crazy. Like I mentioned before, pink with purple polka dots or so. They don't appear to me to be that type of people. With a lot of this verbiage here and all the paperwork and so forth, as to keeping in step with the neighborhood, the way it looks, the way it feels, its character, and so forth. I don't think they're gonna try to buck that in any way. That's my opinion as being their longtime neighbors.
I would like to make a statement. On page 3 of our packet, it's the top half of the page, 164800 additional design standards. And this is under the B. As viewed from the historic tourism corridor, proposed visual aesthetic modernization of the historic architectural style facade of existing structures in the architectural review overlay district is not acceptable. It's right in the packet.
Maria, I agree that you could make that it would not be black a condition of approval.
I make a motion that if we approve this, the color is stated to us what it is. Obviously I can't state it tonight, but I need assurance that it's not going to be black.
Well, I think you could just make a motion and have a condition that it not be black.
That's my motion.
Okay, I don't think we're quite there yet, but hang on to that thought 1 second. And is there any other committee members that have comments? Okay, hearing none, I think that we will give the applicant a chance for rebuttal. Zach, do you have anything else you would like to share or clarify at this time?
I just want to note that we are approved, I believe, to continue with the T111. So if this doesn't pass, that's the fallback, and I just want that to be remembered.
I would like to add that I think corrugated is fine. We've said that several times. We're concerned about it being a color that is not what we are used to and what is historic in historical district. Corrugated is fine, and it's probably preferred, as you said, by fire insurance. All of us have fire insurance. And that's what they're requesting now.
I guess what the, maybe on his point a little, like, because our committee doesn't really have a say on color, they could do T111 and also paint it black. And it would be beyond our control. So whether or not it's black is kind of moot, because it can be black whether it's T111.
But
or black,
it won't be corrugated.
well, I mean, I guess I'd rather have black corrugated than
I would not,
black than black T111
I
or
would
any
not.
or any T111 for that matter.
I would not.
Alex, I agree with you that, I mean, the applicant today could paint T111 black, and that sounds really awful.
I think that would be vindictive, but that's his building. I think that would be a vindictive move, but that's his building.
Yeah, this is his building.
Well, it sounds like we've had some discussion. Would anybody like to make a motion? And there are some in the packet there's some examples that you can use. And so if you want it to approve with conditions, then I definitely am in favor of the non-reflective metal. So no galvanized or shiny silver. But if anybody else wanted to add a condition, they could make a motion.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
For either the applicant or the staff or anyone else. Some of the metal siding, starts off a little shinier and then rusts over time. Like the one it's like what we have on our house basically, which I would find acceptable. But is that applicant, is that like something you've considered too, like an unpainted corrugated metal?
At the risk of sounding like a broken record, we haven't
Yeah.
picked a material.
Our guys answered that question about.
Yeah, I guess
I won't rule out
sure.
consideration of it.
I guess the reason why I ask is because I mean, I'm not opposed to a metal that might be a little shiny to start off with, because it's going to rust over time, which a lot of houses and properties have done over here. Is that something that the committee would be opposed to?
A rustable metal, I would not consider to be a reflective material. I mean, maybe initially, but overall, I would not consider that to be a reflective material, because it certainly is not once it patinas in rust. So.
Right. Correct. So if we were to put a condition in the approval that says nothing shiny, I would like to make it clear that we're not excluding one of those kinds of siding that would rust over time.
I think the whole point gets down to whatever type of siding is used. Maria doesn't want it to be black, and I understand that. I agree, but that's one of those open-ended things. But if we make a motion, it could be a motion that says no matter what kind of materials you use for siding, it should not be black. We could do that type of motion. So it doesn't matter whether it's T111, doesn't matter if it's regular corrugated, which after a while will rust, or it's this type of stuff that the bent elbow used, which is maybe a faux rust, but it's nice and evenly done. It looks great. Just a thought.
Okay, well, it sounds like, oh, go ahead, Harper.
Thank you. My interpretation of a shiny product would be the type of siding on our post office. Am I looking at that correctly? Okay.
Or the
That
house,
is galvanized.
the new house down in the flats is made out of shiny material. And that looks very nice down there, but it wouldn't fit in the historic district.
Agreed. Thank you, both of you.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. I move to recommend approval of case 24-13, a historic overlay and A-ROD application for exterior building alterations on an existing commercial structure within the Architectural Review Overlay District, A-ROD, and Historic Overlay District, located at 1104 Blair Street as presented, finding the historic overlay and A-ROD application is in conformance with section 16-4-5 and section 16-4-6 of the Silverton Municipal Code, with the following conditions: that it not be a highly reflective material, and the exception to this would be a rustable material that may be initially reflective but not over time.
Second.
Okay,
And
we have a motion in a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
I have a question.
Yes, Harper.
Did you include and not black in there?
I did not.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion in a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Vice Chair Melissa Childs,
Yes.
Maria Samora,
No,
Charles Alex Lennis,
Yes.
Mike Garriack,
Yes.
Jim Harper,
No.
So what did we have there? We've got 3 yeses and 2 nos, correct?
correct.
Okay, then the motion passes. And at this point, thank you, Zach, for appearing before the committee, and the public hearing is now closed. And so with that, we will move on to committee business, item number 2 on the agenda. Are there any committee members that have any business to bring to the committee? Or staff, is there any business?
no, we're not from staff. Oh,
I did want to say for our next meeting, we will have a training on becoming a certified local government. And so that is for our next scheduled meeting. And if we have an application, we'll do that as a work session and then the meeting. So I just wanted to point that out. And remind
Okay,
everyone.
thank you, Gloria. I think that's the end of item 2, committee business. We can move on to number 3, reports. So do any members of the committee have any related reports, announcements, updates, or communications they'd like to share at this time? Hearing none, I will move on to the public comment portion of our agenda. So if anyone from the public wishes to make comment, now is the time to do so. Please state your name prior to your comment and you will have up to 3 minutes to speak. We will start with any in-person comments and then move to comments on Zoom. Please note that the YouTube version of the meeting does not support interaction and commentary. If you are online wishing to comment, please join the Zoom link and raise your hand. Is there anybody in the room that would like to comment?
Nobody in the room.
Thank you. Is there anybody on Zoom? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, it looks like this committee business is concluded and I would like a motion to adjourn, please.
I would move to adjourn the Historic Review Committee meeting.
I
I'll
second.
She's-
Okay, can we show of hands? Okay, it is 5:34 and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why you voted yes then.
No,
Hey, I really enjoy listening to you.
no, I'm just saying, it's not over.
You're right, because it's gonna be a huge catastrophe.
That's right, well.
Get this gigantic black building over there.
No.
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah.